Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Terry Gallagher, and I want to welcome you back to another edition of Come and See, where we look at the hope for the future that's possible when our faith guides are used to technology rather than our greed. This episode, I want to do something different. I want to pause. You know, we're starting a new year. I've just passed another milestone in life, and when you got gray hair, whenever you pass a milestone, it causes you to pause and reflect on what wisdom has been gained since the last milestone. Have we made any advances? So what I'd like to do in this episode is just briefly talk about where are we at. You know, we've done 15, 16 of these where we show the technology, the hope for the future, when all we have to do is use it and we'll reduce the pollution that's in the air. Where are we at right now? Well, the latest scientific report says we're not doing it yet. In fact, we're still increasing the rate of pollution. We kill 6 to 8 million people a year just from breathing it in and all the different health effects that scientists would tell us about it. But the amount of pollution, the carbon pollution and methane pollution we're putting up in the atmosphere is continuing to increase at a time where we desperately need to break it, to turn it around. That's where Project Drawdown comes in with all its answers that say if we do this, if we do those solutions, we can dramatically draw down the pollution that's in the atmosphere. Never mind stopping increasing, actually pull it out of the atmosphere so that my kids and your kids, my grandkids and your grandkids have a chance at life. But you know, with it still going up, the obvious effects of the physics is getting hard to ignore, yet we're still doing it. Look at the tremendous storms that we had in 2017, the hurricanes, the tremendous floods, the droughts, the starving people, the mass migration, the massive fires. All of those are pointing to the climate crisis. And they're pointing that if we don't change our ways, our kids' future is in real doubt. Recently, all the nations of the earth came together once again. It's called the Conference of the Parties. This is the 23rd time. So for 23 years, the nations of the earth have been coming together to wrestle with this problem. 2 years ago in Paris is where they made the Paris Climate Accord, where they agreed that climate change is real, it's human caused, and we have to respond with urgency to keep the temperatures from increasing because the floods will increase, the storms will increase, the sea level will rise if we don't. It's that simple. So the good news out of COP23 is there were 2 nations of the earth that had not agreed, and they've now signed on. So every single nation of the earth has signed onto this agreement that climate change is real, it's human caused, and it requires us to take action with urgency to reduce, to dramatically and urgently reduce the pollution. Now the downside is there's one nation of the earth, us, that wants to withdraw from this agreement. Only us have the hubris to want to withdraw from this agreement, to pretend that the science isn't real. And yet the science reports keep coming and saying we're on a terrible path and we must change. So we see in Project Drawdown that we have the technology. What is lacking? What is keeping us from doing it if we have the technology? And the answer is political will. That's all it is. Getting our governments to work for us rather than the oil companies, coal companies, gas companies, all of the hedge fund companies. Imagine that, government that works for us. It's not all bad news. There's a number of state and local governments and corporations that have said even if the U.S. government at the national level have gone a little bonkers, we're still in this. We're still committed to reducing it. And the rest of the nations of the earth are stepping up to take our leadership role. Isn't that a shame? It's good to see that they're doing it, but where are we? You know, the Old Testament author that wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, in chapter 3, has this tremendous poem that you know it from the song. There's a time for birth and a time for death, And the author goes on and lists all the different seasons of life, all the different occasions where there's a time for this and a time for that. If there ever was a time to heal the earth, it's now. If there ever was a time to show compassionate love for our neighbors, the gospel says, it's now. If there ever was a time to strive for peace and back us away from the threshold of nuclear war, it's now. We have the answers. If we did all the solutions proposed by Project Drawdown, over 1,000 gigatons of pollution would come out of the atmosphere. We don't need to do all of it, but we got to do a lot of it for my kids and your kids' sake. And we can do this. We have the technology. We see that every week on these episodes. We see we have the technology. All we're lacking is the will. St. Francis is thought to have said, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. And what it means by that is people need to see lived examples. So someone that doubts the climate crisis is real or urgent isn't going to have their mind changed by yet another scientific study or another scientific fact. No. Because there's been endless studies, and yet they still don't understand. What will get them to change is when they see a lived example of someone that they already trust living out their life so that their kids have a chance. So take the 48 action steps, choose a number of those that you can do in your life, and go about doing them on a very visible basis. Bring this Come and See series into your community, into your neighborhood, into your family, into your church. But do those action items. Write to your congressman, pick up the phone and call. Organize groups to write and to call. To create the political will so that our representatives respond to us rather than the oil companies, coal companies, and gas companies. Can we do this? Absolutely, we can do this. We can live the gospel. And after that final no, there will come a yes. And on that yes, the future of our children depends. So, going on into 2018, we're going to do every week, all 52 weeks, another episode showing yet again a new technology that will reduce the pollution and make a future for our kids. But we are the roadblock. This nation is the roadblock. And so we have to get our Congress and our elected officials to respond to the greatest crisis that human civilization has ever been faced. Can we do this? Absolutely. Is there hope for the future? Absolutely. But the time to act, to quit being quiet, to rise up and give voice is now. You can do it. Our kids are counting on us. See you next week, where we're going to cover yet again another technology that's exciting because it shows what we can do to reduce pollution, but it's also going to save us money. You're going to like it. See you then. Take care.
And faith is not in knowing, it's a willingness to learn. And faith is found in loving when there's nothing in return. So come and see, around the bend, look my friend, and what could be? Come with me, come with me. There's so much more to know, so come and see. There's so much more to know, so come and see.